Installing solid wood flooring is a relatively painless process that can substantially enhance the beauty and elegance of your home. Preparation is the first element of a flooring installation. Start with the removal of the existing baseboards or wall molding. If wall molding is to be reused, make sure to mark the back of the trim and the wall it was removed from with a unique identifying mark for easy reinstallation. In some cases, it may be necessary to slice a thin line where the baseboard meets the wall to keep from tearing the sheetrock paper layer up the wall when removing the base. A base shoe may also be used in addition to wall base. A base shoe is usually 5/8 by 3/4 inch and is a quarter round type molding that allows you to install a new floor without removing the existing base. A well-prepared surface is an important part of a quality installation. Remove any debris from the floor. If you're removing carpet, pull it up and remove the tack strip and any protruding nails or staples that may be present. With the old flooring up and the subfloor visible, it's the perfect time to fix any flexing or squeaking areas in the floor. Countersink screws into the subfloor where needed and sink any existing nails that appear elevated or loose. Before proceeding with the actual laying of the planks, determine the floor joist direction. Always install the flooring perpendicular to the floor joists. The direction of the floor joist can often be determined by the nailing pattern of the subfloor itself. Choose a long, straight wall to start off. This is usually an outside wall. Before laying the first board, snap a chalk line to use as a reference point. Aligning the first row with chalk line ensures that subsequent rows will be straight. Some installers will use the subfloor lines created by the 4x8 sheets of plywood as a reference. This line is usually parallel to an outside wall and is repeated every 4 feet. Begin unpacking and inspecting the boards from the first carton. This inspection process is referred to as culling. Check for any manufacturing defects in the finish and/or stain of the product. Not every plank will be perfect, so this step is key to identifying any non-desirable boards before installation. Boards should also be inspected for milling and straightness. Boards that are too warped or curved should be culled out. Now it's time to lay out the first 3 rows. Begin by picking out planks that are nice and straight. Using straight planks as starters makes it easier to keep the first rows tight and ensures a nice straight installation. Cut the first boards, sometimes referred to as starter boards, to varying lengths. This ensures that the end joints will be offset. As a rule of thumb, end joints should be at least 4 to 6 inches apart. This will give the floor a random appearance and make it stronger structurally. You will notice the installer cuts 3 boards to start this particular installation. Each board will start a new row. Dry fit the first row into place with the tongue side of the board facing away from the wall. The groove side of the plank should be facing the wall and positioned about a 1/2 inch from the wall. This 1/2 inch is called an expansion gap and will allow the floor to expand and contract with the seasons. This gap will be covered later by the base shoe or wall base. Using your measuring tape, measure from the plank edge to the chalk line. The chalk line is the line-up point of the first row. The method used to secure this first row is referred to as top nailing. Align the starter row to the straight chalk line. Face nail the first row to the subfloor below. This method of nailing is used only on the first and often last rows of planks. Face nailing actually places a nail through the top of the plank, securing the plank to the subfloor. When installing around a vent, always make sure to measure the opening and cut accordingly. Most vents are 4x10 or 4x12 inches. It's important to make sure the vent cover will fit in the opening, as it's much harder to recut the floor after it's installed. Place the second row of flooring planks in position and nail down. Be sure to fit the individual planks tight with no gaps. A gap left here may affect the squareness of the rows that follow. For nail-down installation, placing a 7-pound craft paper or equivalent material reduces the noise of creaking and provides some moisture barrier. The installation goes faster when installed over craft paper. The boards slide together easier and tighter. Carefully trim the craft paper around various walls, entries, and objects, such as this fireplace. The next step is called racking. Racking describes the process of laying out and positioning the planks in a format that is most appealing visually, with the end joints being staggered. During the racking process, it's important to note that none of the planks are actually nailed in. They are simply dry fitted into place. Racking out the floor allows you to install larger portions of the floor at one time, speeding up installation. When you get to the end of each row, boards can be marked and cut to length. You can then lay them back in place. Now it's time to displace the dry-fitted boards that have been installed loosely or racked out and begin blind nailing, otherwise known as angle nailing the planks. This involves setting a nail at the top of the protruding groove and driving the nail in at an angle. The nail contains a series of shanks to hold it securely. The nail will drive through the plank at an angle and into the subfloor, securing the plank tightly. The shanks are designed to keep the nail from backing out after years of use. The mallet that's being used has two heads, a hard one to drive the nail and a rubber one that can be used to tap the planks into place. When you begin, put a layer of tape on the pneumatic nailer. This will help reduce the likeliness of scratching the finished surface of the floor during installation. This is one of those tricks of the trade that really comes in handy on installation day. Boards should be nailed every 8 to 10 inches and 3 to 4 inches from each end. Nailing the board too close to the end may cause the tongue to snap or crack, leaving that board loosely installed. Preparation of a fireplace mantel may include steps like the removal of uneven mortar or spackle. This may be done with a chisel or similar tool. Details like this are well worth the time, especially when you consider how long a solid floor will be in service. Focal points, like the fireplace hearth, need to be framed. This requires installing a border around the hearth. A border is made up of full boards cut at a 45 in the corners and surrounding the hearth. A border gives your installation a decorative, professional, finished look around the tile. You may want to glue these planks and the ones butting up to them for added strength. Moisture testing the floor reveals in this case an 11% moisture reading. This is within the acceptable limits of moisture content for the floor. Acceptable limits are 6 to 12% in most cases. After nailing most of the room, you will get down to the last few rows. These last few rows will need to be top nailed just as the starting rows were. A small pry bar might be needed to snug these last rows tight. The final installation step is to fill the face nail holes with color-matched putty. Although the holes in the top face nail planks near the wall are small, filling them with a color-matched putty makes them almost non-detectable. Attention to detail in the installation process makes a significant difference in the finished product. Installing solid wood floors is a weekend project, but when it's all done, it's well worth the effort. Solid hardwood flooring, an age-old flooring tradition. Nothing transforms a house into a home quite like it. Time and attention to detail in installation delivers a floor for generations of use. With proper cleaning and maintenance, including doormats to catch dirt and debris at the entry, a solid wood floor will provide years of service.